So welcome back to the Fund Your Passion podcast brought to you by JBR Capital, and I am so excited to be sitting on a sofa where
With me.
where you, Darren Selleck,
Cece's
are
over there.
outnumbered by the females.
I
because
know, I'm so lucky. Yay.
we are joined today by Cici Muldoon, my friend, and just an all-round, pretty incredible, awesome, amazing woman.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know Cece's story, Cece is actually a doctor of physics. She has a wine business, all to do with lasers and spectrometers, which we can talk about a little bit if you like. But most importantly, Cece is a complete and utter car nut and has just got herself involved. Well, tell us, because your association with Glickenhaus, many people will know about it and your beautiful car, but many people won't.
So Jim Glickenhaus is a dear friend of mine. He is, to those who don't know Jim is the last privateer, is how he is seen in the car world. So he's a racing enthusiast, a team owner, and a racing driver through and through. That's his blood is racing. And Jim basically set out about 15 years ago to make his own cars. So he became so he used to be a film director and producer in a previous life, always collected cars. Started commissioning a few special one-offs, including, for those who might know, Ferrari P45, which was an homage to a Le Mans prototype Ferrari that he had from the 60s, built on an Enzo chassis engine with a Pininfarina body on it. And out of this, he created P45 Competizione, started racing at the Nürburgring, got really into the whole thing, and then his son turned around about 15 years ago and said, "Dad, why don't you make your own cars? Given that you like this so much, let's make our own cars." So they started, they're making their own road cars, their own racing cars, and they're a manufacturer in their own right now.
Now, when you say, I didn't realise it was actually such a short period of time that they've been doing this, because they are currently running in the Le Mans Endurance Series, doing incredibly well. They've got cars in the Baja.
Yeah, so they're doing World Endurance Championship, so they'll be at Le Mans in 2 weeks' time, and they're not just that, but they're the top category. So this year the WEC has changed the top category from LMP1 to Le Mans Hypercar, LMH. And there are 3 cars in the Le Mans Hypercar category. There is the Glickenhaus car, there is Toyota, who've been at it for about 12 years, and there is Alpine, which is, some people would say, last year's Wrecker Rebellion reclothed. But essentially, out of these 3 top manufacturers in that category, Jim is by far the smallest. He is, as I say, really the last privateer. And doesn't have the benefit of 12 years of precise tire testing for the race and everything. So it's very exciting because it's his first time in the top category. And as you say, they race in the Baja 1000. They've got they've got something called the Baja Boot, which races there in Paris at Dakar. They race at 24 Hours Nürburgring. Very exciting stuff.
You'll love him. He's a total character. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
But you're not involved with the Glickenhaus racing program.
No. So basically, the story goes. So Jim's a dear friend because he collects classic cars as well.
Yeah.
And at some point he said, you should come see the dark side of racing, which is kind of why I ended up knowing all this stuff about and following his race team around. And in April, I went out to see. It was in March to see the first time that his hypercar was tested at Vallelunga in Italy. And whilst we were there, the car. It was unfortunately crashed on an outlap, and when it came back in, testing session over, we were all sitting in the camper van, and somebody pipes up and jokes to Jim. He says, "Well, Jim, we know what would take the sting out of this accident is if Cece purchased one of your road cars." To which I said, "That's very funny." And I said, "You know what? Actually, I've been looking for a daily driver." And then Jim retorts, "Well, this is the perfect daily driver for you because it's a central seater, so you can drive from England to France, and you have a perfect car." And then what started out as a joke became soon enough. I said, "Well, you know what? Why not? If I am, this sounds amazing. Why not give it a go?" So next thing I know, I'm signing a purchase agreement, and I've bought this car, and it is an absolute monster. I mean, it's 650 horsepower. Manual gated gearbox, proper analog car. So it's Amanda's driven it. She's driven up the hill at Goodwood. As have I.
You think your dog's
Yes, because it's got a central seat. I can have a dog on either side.
Yeah. So Jim jokes that it's a space for my 2 boyfriends in the back.
Did you see the car? Cece names her cars so
Yes,
that
I
they're
do.
easy to identify. This car has been called Gigi because she is a golden giraffe. The car is gold and it has a giraffe-inspired interior.
Yes.
Wow.
So that came about because once I decided to buy one, I mean,
Quite eclectic.
to be very honest, I saw the mule when I was first out of Vailunga, and I thought this car is beautiful. The lines on it are stunning because it's unabashedly retro. So you can see the DNA of P45 and P34 before that. So it looks like a Le Mans prototype car of the 60s kind of with a bit of GT40. And I mean, it is just stunning. Every line where you look, there's a curve, I mean, I fell in love with the car anyway. And then for me, I really like the idea of having a manual analog car, you know, proper thing, not paddles. It's just something that you still have to work with. And when I went to spec it for colors, I had swatches and I had gold, I had red, green, and blue. And I thought they're all beautiful colors, but actually the gold next to the black carbon fiber, it looks stunning because it was sort of, it's not a bright Vegas gold, it's not like a wrap gold, it's properly it's five layers deep of paint. And I thought, this looks fantastic. And then we started looking at interiors and I just thought, I want to do something wild. Because when you go to Pebble Beach, you see these Wassans, you know, the 20s, and you'll see in the 30s, and you'll see the interiors, and you'll have ostrich or funny patterns, you know, Art Deco patterns, and people go gaga over these cars, you know, nearly 100 years later. I thought, why not have something like that in my car? And so I saw a giraffe print swatch, and I said, let's put those two together. And my thinking was, they don't obviously go together at first, but if I were to show you the Daytona seats I have a purple Dino. If I showed you my purple Dino and the Daytona seats next to each other, you would go, that doesn't go at all. And yet it works, right? So that was the giraffe bit of the interior. That's how that happened.
Can't wait to see this car one day. It sounds unbelievable.
It's an incredible car. It is, and it's a testament, I think, to Cece and her sort of vision and inspiration. That she's actually gone for something like this. But the cars are going to be for sale, aren't they?
Yes, they are for sale. So I mean, my car has been, so this was the first customer car that's been delivered.
It was the first one.
Yeah, the first
So
one.
how many are they going to make?
So the aim is to make about 75 a year.
Right.
Ironically, they're obviously a American manufacturer, and this first car was in the UK.
Yeah.
And the reason we did that is because we took it to Festival of Speed for its global unveil. And actually, that was a very special experience because it was the first time I had driven the car. It was the first time the car had been driven. It had 500 meters on it, onto the trailer. It was the first time one of them had ever been driven by anybody because it's a new car.
Yeah.
My first time up the hill.
And you've driven this.
So I was with
And
her.
you've already driven this?
Amanda
I was
was
with her.
with me.
So we did a demo run with Cece driving, and then I was in the timed session.
Yeah.
And the guys are going to me, please, please, we have literally done 500 meters in this car. Please don't go too fast. I was like, no, you're right, I won't, don't worry.
So yes, anyway.
So she trusts me.
So I do trust you, and yeah. So my vehicle is basically single vehicle approved in the UK, but Jim has said, you know, this is really the birthplace of motorsport is the UK, and because this is a car that has traces back its lineage to racing. And incidentally, there's two versions of the car. There's 650 horsepower manual, or there's an 850 horsepower, which is paddles. But that is exactly the same as their race car that raced in 24 Hours at Nürburgring. So I mean, both of them are available, and if anybody in the UK fancies having one, Jim wants to make up to 5 or 10 cars, he would say, to bring here. And if there's an interest or more, then he'll crash test them and then properly sell them here.
And the car is, so it made its debut at Goodwood.
Yeah.
It's gone back to Italy to have some of the details sorted out. And when are we expecting it back here?
So we're going to see it again at Hampton Court, Concours. So it's there entered in a class called the Future Classics class.
Are you going?
All being well?
We'll see you
Yes, we'll see you there.
I want to see the car.
And then it does a track day at Goodwood where Octane are going to do a lovely piece on it, and then the race car's coming over as well. So we'll have both of them side by side. It'll be really nice to see. So.
I hope you're taking commission on all the sales.
Speak to Cece.
Well, I mean,
And we'll
if
come
you're
to you for
interested.
finance.
And we will finance them, obviously. I have no idea how
sounds
much
like a
this
great
car is, but
arrangement.
it sounds amazing. What's the price range for this car?
Well, I'm allowed to tell you, so it will be around 500,000 euros. Yeah.
I suspected as much.
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe a little out of my price range, unless you know anyone who could provide good
Do you know
finance.
what? Actually, the funny thing is at Festival of Speed, we had the car. In the US, it's a little bit cheaper, obviously,
Yeah.
because you don't have the same circumstances. $460 on the website. So one thing you must know about Jim is he's extremely transparent, and he shares a lot about his racing. He shares everything about his cars. It's all there in black and white. And we had people come up to us at Festival of Speed and say to Jim, how much is a car? And the guesses were everywhere between 1.2 and 2, and
So people are getting really.
yeah, they're going
much
really.
higher.
They're thinking, and we're going, are you kidding? Nobody could believe him when he said how much the car cost, and it's partly. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of it is markup for brand, I suppose, and he's just selling it at a very fair price, but.
Well, Cece, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for telling us about your amazing car. I can't wait to see it back
Absolutely.
here in the UK.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
thank you, Cici Muldoon.
You're welcome.